So let's get ready to do some mental math. We're going to do mental math for multiplying decimals. So before we look at the decimals, let's look at the numbers and their combination. So let's look at the number 3. You can't see a decimal, but there is an implied decimal after 3. This is the same for all whole numbers. We don't write the decimal, but it's still there. So that implied decimal is the starting point for everything we're going to do today. And remember, the implied decimal is after the whole number. We can slide the decimal to the left or to the right and change the value of the number. As you can see, we slid the decimal one place left so that the number could become 0.3. It's very important to keep track of how many spaces you slid the decimal in reference to the starting position, which is in front of the whole number. Now let's see what would happen if we slid the decimal 2 spaces to the left. As you can see, there would be a little gap between the decimal and the number 3, so we fill those gaps with 0. So after sliding the decimal 2 spaces to the left, we would get the answer 0.03. So what do you think would happen if we slid our decimal 3 spaces to the left? We would be left with 2 gaps, and remember, you need to fill those gaps with zeros. And our answer would become 0.003. We could do the same thing, moving the decimal the opposite way, to the right. So let's give it a try. Let's move the decimal 3 spaces to the right. So we have 3 gaps, and guess what we have to fill those gaps with? Zeros! So let's move on. We're going to be looking at a few number combinations, and our first one is 3 times 4, and we all know that 3 times 4 is 12. So in our next problem, instead of using the number 3, let's move the decimal 2 places to the left. Now our problem becomes 0.03 times 4. Let's make a mental note that we have to move the decimal 2 spaces to get to 0.03. In our previous problem, we did 3 times 4 equals 12. But in this problem, we're doing 0.03 times 4. So what do you suppose is going to happen to that 12? Since we moved the decimal 2 spaces to the left in our problem, we have to move it 2 spaces to the left in our answer. Therefore, that 12 becomes 0.12. So the answer to 0.03 times 4 is 0.12. So let's look at another example. We know that 9 times 8 is 72. If we use the number 9 and we move the decimal 3 spaces to the left, then we'll get 0.009. If we move the decimal 3 spaces to the left in our problem, we have to move the decimal 3 spaces to the left in our answer. So instead of 72, our answer becomes 0.072. So now in our next problem, using the same number 9, let's move the decimal 3 spaces to the right. That 9 now becomes 9,000. So now that we moved the decimal 3 spaces to the right in our problem, we need to move it 3 spaces to the right in our answer. And 72 becomes 72,000. We're done for today, but could you do me a favor and subscribe to my channel?